Hello, women of the world. Welcome to Her Vision, Her Empire, where we celebrate the strength, ambition, and dreams of women like you who are forging their own paths in the world of entrepreneurship. Remember, it's time to build your empire, one vision at a time. Hello, women of the world. I am your host, Sadie, and welcome to another episode on our podcast. Today, I'm going to be interviewing Kjersten Faseler, and I'm so excited to have her on the show. Welcome, Kjersten.
Thank you. Thanks, Sadie. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, and I also want to apologize before we get started. Me and my family have been sick this week, and so my voice still kind of sounds funky, but hopefully it won't be too bad during the interview. So could you please introduce yourself?
Yeah. My name is Kjersten Faseler, like she mentioned, and I am Minnesota born and raised, but I now live in Texas in the DFW area with my husband and my two amazing daughters. They're 2 and 4, which are crazy ages, but they're so fun. It's the cutest ages right now. It's a blast, and we love to travel. I really like outside of my business. I love to paint, write books, and songs, and I've recently gotten into restoring old black and white photos, which is kind of fun, and colorizing them. But really, outside of that, my business and my family life do take up most of my time. So
That's great.
yeah,
Sounds like a lot of fun.
yeah, for sure.
It's
Busy
probably
life.
a bit warmer in Texas than it is in Minnesota, isn't
Oh yes,
it?
very. I remember I was shocked when I moved to Texas. The winter before Minnesota was negative 28 degrees actual temperature in
Oh
Minnesota
my
one day.
goodness.
And then I moved to Texas where there was 3 months straight of 100 degrees. It was a little bit of a shock, but I'm a warm weather
Oh
lady, so I'm
yeah.
I'm happy here.
I feel that way too. I really like the warm weather too, and I live in
Yeah.
Idaho, so
Oh
it's kind
yeah.
of yeah, it's somewhat around that,
Yeah, very
close
similar.
to the mountains and stuff. So please tell us about your business and everything that goes with that. How you got started? What's the story behind it?
Yeah. Yep. So my business is called Publish Smart Academy, and I coach authors through the process of self-publishing their first children's book. So the reason I got into that is because in 2019, I had my first daughter, and I had been reading her books in every morning, every evening to go to bed. And I have some experience writing, some short stories and songs. And as I was reading some of these books, they were kind of, pretty basic. One was like frog jumps, frog sits. And I'm like, I think I might be able to create a better children's book, maybe.
Mhm.
So let's just write some ideas down. So I wrote some ideas down, and I ended up creating a few different stories, and I found one that I really loved, and I went with it. And it was an animal alphabet because my daughter loved animals. She was learning the alphabet at the time. And so I decided to go ahead and publish it and publish my book. And it took a very long time for me to figure out the entire process. It was much harder than I ever thought it was to publish a book. There's a
Mhm.
lot of research, Googling, YouTube. I was looking for resources everywhere, and I really couldn't find anything that would help me throughout the entire process. So I made my own list and put things together. And I finally published my book in 2020, and I had a very successful start. Thankfully, I made $10,000 in sales the first month. I was just like loving what I did. I was so passionate about it. And people in
Yeah.
the meantime were reaching out to me saying, "Oh my gosh, I also have a children's book idea. I have written a story, or I would love to do that. That's a dream of mine. How do you do it?" And so I was spending my free time as I was working my full time job. I was working my free time at night in the evenings, helping people through the publishing process, for free, just helping people. I was probably working with 45 people every single week, jumping on calls, texting, emailing.
Wow.
And one time I had one of my friends from high school referred me to his client in Argentina, and I was helping her. And I remember she sent me an email one day and was like, "Hey, I so appreciate you doing this and helping me, but why are you doing this for free? You should start a side business and, make a coaching program or something like that." And
Yeah.
and it was the first time where I was like, you know what? I've actually had those thoughts before, but I was in a full-time job, happy there.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if I should take the leap or not. But her telling me that just brought me over the edge where I was like, okay, yes, I feel like somebody else has the same thought, has a confidence in me to do that. I'm going to make the leap. So I did everything I could to I put a business plan together. I presented it to my husband and I was like, "Hey, can this work? Can we do this?" And after some convincing for a couple months, he agreed. And I
Yeah.
ended up starting this business now where I coach authors and help them through the same process that I went through and help turn their dream into a reality, just like I did for me.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wow. I love that story. And so from like start to when did you start doing that? Like how long ago was that?
So that was I had the idea and I started writing my book in 2019, but I didn't actually move forward with the idea to actually start a business and create a business out of it until 2022. And
Okay.
so I ended up quitting my full-time corporate job that I loved, a boss that I loved in 2022. So it's been about a year and a half now. And yeah, it's been great. It's the best decision I've made.
Oh, that's great. I'm so
Yeah.
happy for you.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and so with that, did you start like any social media platforms or anything to kind of promote it?
Yes, I did. I actually started off on TikTok and Instagram. I was always told to pick one and run with it, but I was like, you know what, I want to try TikTok out. I've only looked at other people's content on TikTok and I thought maybe I can make my own content and see what happens. And I'm
Yeah.
so glad I did that because I feel like for me personally, I've gotten a lot more traction on TikTok than Instagram. But they're great to have together. And so
Mhm.
that's one tip that I would tell anybody if you're starting a new business too, that really don't stick to one. Try at least two or three different platforms, see what works, and then you can focus on the one or two that work best for you. But now
Yeah.
I have TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. And surprisingly, Facebook and TikTok are one of the biggest, I guess, the best platforms that I've been using. And I've gotten the most clients from them, just people watching my videos and asking for help publishing their own books. So yeah, they've been great tools for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I am probably doing more than I should be doing because
Yeah, I bet.
I have TikTok and Instagram, but I'm also doing a podcast and
Yeah.
several other different
YouTube,
things too. So yeah,
right?
YouTube. Yep. And so I should probably um, tone it down a little. I feel like just because
Yeah.
there's so much going on, but I love that how you encourage people to do more than one because
Mhm.
there are different audiences on each
Yeah.
different social media.
Yeah.
Um,
And different
yeah,
algorithms too, right? Like
yeah,
the algorithms I've found are so different. I can post the exact same content at the exact same time on TikTok and Instagram, and the number of interactions, views are completely different between the two. I
oh
mean, it could
yeah,
be just demographics in general, but I really think that algorithms have something to do with it as well.
yeah, for sure. And it's kind of a challenge sometimes to figure those algorithms out
Yes.
because they
Yeah, you
change so
don't really know how
often.
they work.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's great. What are your goals for your business, short term and long term?
So I think for short term, I'm really focusing right now on the holiday season. We have a lot of sales coming up. We have Black Friday, we have the holidays. There's a lot of promotions happening right now. But another short term goal, I'm hoping this happens in the next few months, is that my goal is to work with somebody, at least someone on all six continents. I'm not including Antarctica because there's
Yeah,
not many people that live there full time
yeah,
permanently. But so far, I've worked with people on five continents, and so I'm missing Asia. I'm hoping I can work with somebody in Asia in the next few months. That's a fun little short term goal that I have. But
yeah. That's
um,
incredible. Wow.
yeah, it's just been fun to reach so many different people in different
Hmm.
countries and cultures, and it's been so rewarding seeing the type of book that they put out and that they're creating, and it's so motivating. So I'm hoping to work with somebody on that sixth continent. Fingers crossed, but. And then long term, I think for me, I would love to in the future hire on team members to help because right now I'm a one woman show and I do
Yeah.
have people that I hire out every now and then for administrative assistant work or IT or help with my website, but I don't have anyone full time working for me, and so I'm hoping that in the future that can be come to fruition in the next couple of years, and hopefully even expand to maybe helping people with other genres of books, right? So other adult novels or things like that. Whereas right
Yeah.
now I'm focusing solely on children's books because that's what I know, and it is pretty drastically different too in terms of marketing and whatnot. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure. That's great. I really like those goals. I guess for this this next question. You don't really have any competitors, you were saying, because
Yeah.
you couldn't find, I mean, there might be some out there, but you
Yeah.
couldn't find anything when you were researching it and doing it all, excuse me, doing all of
Mhm.
that. And so that's really cool
Yeah.
that you found something unique that not a lot of people are doing, if at
Yeah.
all any.
Yeah.
So,
And I don't think even now people are doing exactly what I'm doing. There are people that help people through the self-publishing process for children's books, but it's very rare. And they have,
mhm.
might have blogs on the internet, and you can read a bunch of information, which is how I learned. But there's not a program like I have a program that has the online course component. There's one-on-one coaching component where I do monthly coaching calls with everyone once a month, and they have access to me too every single week in a private community group. So they're asking me if they have any questions, which I would have died for when I was going through this process. That's one thing
Yeah.
I was missing, is like I didn't have a mentor. I didn't know anyone who had published a children's book. Like I wish
Mhm.
I had somebody I could ask questions like, what is this? What is an ISBN? Why do I need this? Where can, all the little details that I was missing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and having those resources too. I don't think that there's anybody else that has, email templates that are ready to go for, for outreach to bookstores and things like that I've kind of put together in
Mhm.
this program. So I think that's probably the differentiating factor between me and other companies, but
Mhm.
it's fun to find those people that are like, I've been looking for something like this, thank you, and I feel like
Yeah.
I would have been that same way if I would have come across a program like this. So
Yeah,
that's the
that's
reason why I created
awesome.
it.
Mhm. Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing a recent success story?
Yeah. So in my eyes, success to me isn't like monetary, right? It's not how much
Mhm.
money I make, it's how I make an impact on the other authors that I'm helping. And so I feel like I'm successful when another author client of mine is successful, because
Yeah.
you know, I through my course I teach things like for marketing, to apply for awards and do other things to help your credibility, and how to rank higher on Amazon. So it's so rewarding to me when I see somebody succeed because of something that I've taught them. And so
Yeah.
recently I had one of my clients publish an adorable book, and he recently won the Mom's Choice Gold Award for his
Oh,
book.
wow.
So it's so like it feels just so, I'm so proud of him, and it just feels like almost like
Mhm.
it's like my book too, because I helped him through that process, right? So that was really special for me. And I have two other clients in the last couple of weeks that have ranked pretty high on Amazon. One has ranked number 6 for new releases in her category. One ranked number 1 in new releases for her category in Amazon, and another
Oh,
was
wow.
number 29 bestseller on Amazon in her
Holy
category.
cow.
So those little things are just so rewarding to me, and that's a success story in itself, right? Those are all small success stories that make an impact on me too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I'm
Yeah.
I'm sure that like completely changes their lives too. Like they
Yeah.
probably thought that their little children's story would
Yeah.
never be that successful or whatever, but
Exactly.
like the mindset of like everyone starts somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And you just kind of have to work your way to it and just find the
Yeah.
resources for it. And so that's incredible. And I'm glad that I'm happy for the people who have you to
Yeah.
help them get those goals achieved. So
Yeah.
that's great.
It's really neat.
Hmm. Do you have any piece of advice that you would share with someone that is maybe starting out becoming an entrepreneur or is on the fence about starting their own business?
It's a great question. And there's so many things I would tell somebody who's wanting to start out their own business, or as an entrepreneur. There's so many different tips, but I think the biggest one is find a mentor. Find somebody who has been through what you're going to do, what you want to do, somebody who can walk you through, answer any questions you have along the way. I truly wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for a course that I actually took about how to create online courses. Shout out to Gemma Bonham Carter. I took her course creator school program, and it really helped me streamline my entire process and really take the steps that I needed to be successful when I was starting from scratch and had no idea what I was doing. Right. So
Yeah.
find a mentor who can help you, like teach you the right way to do things so you avoid any costly mistakes. It saves you a bunch of time because you're not trying to research and do things on your own. They're telling you exactly how to do it. And again,
Yeah.
just it really streamlines the entire process of starting a business. And truly saves you a headache and a half. It's the best decision I ever made.
Yeah.
So get you a mentor is my biggest business advice when you're starting out.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
And I really appreciate all that you've shared with us. And do you have any last thoughts that you would like to share?
I don't think so. I think the only other thought I have is if you are serious about starting your own business and imposter syndrome will set in, everyone goes through it. Don't listen to those imposter syndrome thoughts. Just go forward, take the leap, and there's never going to be a right time to do it, right? So if you feel like you have this passion about whatever it is, make a business plan, figure out if it's going to be possible financially, et cetera, and make it happen. Because if everyone listened to their thoughts, those negative thoughts, imposter syndrome, I can't do it because I don't have experience, et cetera, there wouldn't be a lot of the big companies there are today that are successful. So just
Right.
take the leap and make it happen.
Yeah. And do you mind explaining a little bit what imposter syndrome is, just for
Yes, good
those in
question.
the audience who may not know what
Yeah.
it is?
Yeah. So imposter syndrome is when you do something, right, where you feel like you're not qualified to do it, or you feel like you're almost like an imposter, right? So you feel like I shouldn't be doing this, or I'm teaching people, for example, I'm teaching people how to write a children's book, but I really don't know how to do it myself. I'm not an expert, right? But you don't have to be an expert in order to teach people how to do something. You don't have to be the world's best, I don't know, violin player to teach people how to play violin or whatever, right? So
Yeah.
don't listen to those negative thoughts, even though I'm sure every single entrepreneur has experienced them at some point in their journey. Don't listen to those and try every time you do have an imposter syndrome thought, any negative thought, try to counter it with a positive thought. That's my advice, because if you do that, you will start to realize this is possible. Okay, I can do this. I am good enough. I do have the experience and I can learn more and I can be the best business owner I can. You just have to take that leap and push those thoughts to the back.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I was just thinking, I'm not sure where I read it somewhere, but I'm assuming it was probably Instagram or something. But if you know 10%, I'm thinking it's like 10 to 15% more about a specific subject than somebody else, you are able to teach those people how to do it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love
So,
that so much. Yeah, that's
yeah,
great.
that's just what I thought of when you were talking about that.
Yes,
So,
that's such a good quote. And you have, like, remember that, like, take that quote, write it down somewhere and remember
yeah.
it every day. Like, look at that every
Yeah.
day, because that will help you believe that you can do it for sure.
And mindset is so important,
It
especially
is.
in this sort of thing where you're trying to make something for you and start something
Mhm.
to help others. And if your mindset is in the right place, then you will succeed. And if you're negative about it or any sort of thing like that, like you were saying, then it'll be a lot harder or it may not even happen.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. You're so right about that. Yep.
yeah, thank you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for being on my podcast. It's been
Yes,
such a
thank
blast to
you.
have you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You've just listened to an episode of Her Vision, Her Empire. We upload a video every single week, so don't forget to hit subscribe or follow to not miss out on future content. If you'd like to support our podcast, we would absolutely love it if you left a review or shared it with someone you know that would benefit from this content. Links to our socials are found below in the show notes, and thanks again for listening. Until next time.